Good evening, my friends. We're here representing Campbellsville University. Tonight I'm going to be talking about Chapter A, the second part of Chapter A, which talks about media, aids, and resources, which is very important nowadays since we're all into technology and media and all that good stuff. So, Model 8 overview says that cognitive tools are important for helping students construct their understanding. You will be pleased to know that there is a large variety of useful and effective educational media, aids, and resources from which to draw as you plan your instructional experiences. Okay? Since I have to talk about the second part of the chapter, I will be covering how to demonstrate an understanding about using community resources, speakers, and field trips, to demonstrate an awareness of electronic media available for teaching in your subject field, how they can be used and how and where they can be obtained, demonstrate competence in using standard classroom tools for teaching. Sorry. Okay. First, I'm going to start with the community resources, which is very important for every teacher. You need to be aware of your surroundings and what are the things that you can use in order to improve your teaching. So, one of the richest resources for learning is the local community and the people and places in it. You will want to build your own file of community resources, speakers, sources for free materials, and field trip locations. Your school might already have a community resource file available for you to use. In this chapter on page 305, you will find a big list of examples of some of resources that you guys can use. I'm going to mention the ones that I think are more important depending on what you teach. I would say the airport, an aquarium, the canal lock, the cemetery. I don't know about that, but I think it would be important. The courthouse, a farm, especially since I teach in the Appalachian Mountains, and it's all about farms and welding. Yeah, I think that's how I say it. The fire department, gas company, the library. Also, if you have some museums, I live in Barberville, so I don't think there's any museums here, or maybe they are, but I haven't seen one yet. The water company and the zoo. Since I teach Spanish, I would say the most important field trip that I can make, which I haven't done yet, would be take my students to a Mexican restaurant. There they'll be exposed to the Spanish and try to order food in Spanish. So I think it'll be a good experience. And I haven't met somebody yet that doesn't enjoy Mexican food. So I think they'll really enjoy that. But since I have 125 students, I think it's going to be hard, divided in all 6 periods. So I'm still looking for that field trip. See how would that work. Okay. Next I would like to talk about guest speakers. Some students might enjoy that, and I think it'll help you a lot as you teach, depending on your subject. Bringing outside speakers into your classroom can be a valuable educational experience for students, but not automatically so. In a sense, guest speakers can be classified within a spectrum of 4 types, according to the book. So, the first type will be a speaker is both informative and inspiring. So that's what we all want. Type 2 will be a speaker might be inspiring, but with nothing substantive to offer, except for the possible diversion the talk might offer from the usual rigors of classroom work. Type 3 will be the speaker might be informative, but boring to students. And I've seen a lot of speakers that have come to Knox Central High School where they speak good, but they're just boring. You'll see students just falling asleep, and they're good to do that. Type 4 will be at the worst end of this spectrum is the guest speaker who is both boring and uninformative. So just like any other instructional experience, to make a guest speaking experience most effective, you have to take it takes planning. Okay? So I would say four of the main things that you need to do in order to plan for that would be, if it's possible, you have to meet and talk with your guest speaker in advance to inform him or her about your students and your expectations for the presentation. Then you have to prepare students in advance with key points of information that you expect them to obtain, so they already know what to expect. Number three, will guide your students in preparing questions to ask the speaker. Focus on things the students want to find out and information you want them to inquire about. And then of course you have to have a follow-up the presentation with a thank you letter to the guest speaker and perhaps further questions that develop during class discussion. I've used a guest speaker once last year. She was a Spanish teacher from Cumberland University, and she did like a hookup activity and the kids really enjoyed it. And some of the questions they asked was if they needed to take Spanish when they get to college level. And she was like, some of college will require it and some others won't require it. But okay, that's just a little information. As I was saying about the community resources, field trips are very important. What is most memorable field trip that you have ever done as a student? They took me one time to a beer company in Venezuela where they show you how did they make the most important beer, and it was pretty cool. I still remember. And you see how they make the bottles, how they put the liquid, and all the machines going around. So I think that's really cool, and kids really enjoy that. Well, anything that you can do to take them out of the classroom, they will enjoy. Okay, now if you're planning on doing field trip, you have to, when the field trip is your idea, discuss the idea with your teaching team, principals, or department chair before mentioning the idea to their students. There is no cause served by getting students excited about a trip before you know if it's feasible. Okay? Because if you mention it to them before you ask for permission, they get excited and then they'll be disappointed, and then when disappointing time comes, they don't like to learn. So they will treat you like you're a liar, bad teacher. Okay, that's the most important thing before you do the field trip. Now during the field trip, if your field trip has been carefully planned according to the preceding guidelines, it should be a valuable and safe experience for all. En route, while at the trip location and the return to school, you and the adult chaperones should monitor students' behavior and learning just as you do in the class. Okay, don't let them get out of control, jump in the buses, throw things to other cars, because they get wild, especially high school kids. And then after the field trip, you can plan the follow-up activities as with any other lesson plans. The field trip lesson is complete only when there is both a proper introduction and a well-planned closure. Okay, that's all about community resources. Now I'm going to talk about media tools. Media tools are teaching tools that depend on electricity to project light and sound and to focus images on screens, including projectors of various sorts, computers, CD-ROMs, and DVDs. Now, after I read this chapter, I think they're a little behind according to what we're facing right now to the media, but I still have to inform you about it. It is important to remember that the role of media tool is to aid students' learning, not to teach for you. And some of the teaching will sit down in the chair, put a video or whatever they want on the small board, and they just relax. That's wrong. You need to teach your students with the help of the resources. Okay. Now, one important tool that every teacher should have in their classroom is the overhead projector. In addition to a writing board and a bulletin board, nearly every classroom is equipped with an overhead projector. The overhead projector is a versatile versatile, effective, and reliable teaching tool, except for the bulb burning out. Not much else can go wrong with an overhead projector. There is no film to break nor program to crash. So that's pretty important. Another tool that not every teacher has, but some of them should, is a television. Very important. For purposes of professional discussion, television programming can be divided into three categories according to this book. We have instructional television, educational television, and general commercial television. Instructional television refers to programs specifically designed as classroom instruction. Educational television refers to programs as cable television and of public broadcasting designed to educate in general, but not aimed at classroom instruction. Commercial television programs include the entertainment and public service programs of the television networks and local stations. Some teachers will like MTV. I don't think that will be educational at all. But well, you still can laugh about it. Okay, now the most important part, and I think this book needs to move up on time, is the computer and computer-based instructional tools. Every teacher should have a computer in their room. And not only computers, but now you need to be immersed into the iPads and smartphones. Okay, everything is done by internet, and you have no idea how smart these kids are when they're using their own devices. According to this book, as a middle school or secondary school classroom teacher, you must be computer literate. You must understand and be able to use computer as well as you can read and write. Okay, so and it gives you a little bit of introduction about computers and CD-ROMs, but I think floppy disks. I don't think we are into floppy disks right now. That was like 10 years ago. But my advice to you is to get an idea of how you can use iPads and iPhones and all that good stuff. There's some websites that we can use. A good one is edmodo.com. That will help you to interact with your student while you're teaching them a lesson. Alright, well, that's all I got. Thank you very much for your time and listening to my presentation. I hope it was useful, fun, and entertaining. Remember, Campbellsville, my friend. Just kidding. Have a good night. Bye.